and it is time for...
Suzy Wrong, Joy Drive's film, TV and theatre reviewer.
Happy New Year, Suzy Wrong.
Happy New Year to everyone. So nice to be back.
It's lovely to have you back. Did you have a good New Year's?
I did. I braved the outside. Actually went and had to the Imperial Hotel and had what they call drag and dine with 3 of my friends. So it was very daring of me. And 4 days in, I'm still okay.
It's glad to hear that, Suzy.
Thank you. It was terrifying.
It is a bit like that at the moment. Something that maybe is not so terrifying. Queer Eye, the latest season is out. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Queer Eye is back on Netflix for its 6th season. For those who are still unfamiliar, this reality series, based on its predecessor, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, is no longer a straightforward makeover show. There is less of an emphasis on turning someone into a better version of themselves and more an exercise about getting people out of a rut, psychologically as well as physically. In season 6, we are taken to Austin, Texas, where we meet diverse individuals in need of a helping hand. It is noteworthy that 4 of these 10 new episodes focus on community workers, including heroes from the front line of healthcare and the education system, as well as people working to help the homeless and abandoned animals. Like all previous seasons of Queer Eye on Netflix, the series is a tearjerker, featuring moving stories and profound messages. The experts are called the Fab Five, each member taking care of a separate aspect. Karamo is the culture guy, Jonathan does the grooming, Tan is the fashion expert, Anthony wines and dines, and Bobby has the singularly gargantuous task of designing and renovating homes and workplaces. The 5 queer men are so endearing and accomplished, not only with the expertise they bring to the table, but also as seasoned television presenters now that they are 4 years into the job. I always look forward to a new Queer Eye so I can sob like a baby for an entire day and feel exhausted from inspiration and general upliftedness. Emma and Warren, did any of the stories leave you an emotional mess?
I cried so much every single time. And there were a few where going into it, I was like, I'm done. I'm already finished. It's been like 2 minutes into the episode and I'm like, it was an emotional roller coaster, to say the least.
It's interesting because Em said to me, I was late getting to it, and Em said, it's a tearjerker. And I was like, yeah, sure. Queer Eye, it won't be a tearjerker. Because I've got to confess, Suzy and Em, I only watched the original series, so I haven't watched any of the ones coming up to season 6, but I started watching a couple of season 6. And you're right, it is a tearjerker.
Absolutely. And I think this season was even more so because they have, as you said, Suzy, focused on people that almost like are pillars of their community, and it's almost like a celebration of them, as well as, maybe they get a haircut and stuff. But it certainly is a really lovely... I think at this time especially, it was a really nice kind of escapism.
I feel like we are all in need of big cry. The last couple of years has been so hard, and we've worked so hard to be strong, by being responsible and doing the right thing, but it's required a lot of strength on our part. And I found the last 24 hours as I watched all 10 episodes, it was just like being given permission to let it all out and feel safe in this world that they've created, of this world of nurturing. And I felt like, I can feel quite safe in crying and knowing that at the end it will always be a happy ending, so that I can pick myself up and go again.
I think that's it. And you're right, it's giving us permission to cry, isn't it? And it's okay to cry in our own homes watching it. I loved the episode about Angel. I think that was absolutely beautiful, and she was so authentic. And I just found it really, I just identified with that whole thing about she was so comfortable being in a gymnasium and in fitness clothes, and I thought, many of us are comfortable in one particular environment, aren't we? And then we go into other environments and we try and emulate that, the same what we're wearing there to make us feel comfortable. And I just thought, wow, she was amazing. And when she was having her haircut, talking about her story and what it was like and her father, and I thought, here we go, here comes the waterworks.
Yeah, for listeners who haven't seen it yet, Angel is a young trans woman. I think she's like 22 or something. She's only 1 year into her transition, but she's always been a power lifter. Is that what they call it? Power so she's got a very athletic and very big body.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful body, and then because she's trying to do her transition properly. I guess it challenges herself and challenges us to think of what a woman's body should look like, what a woman should look like. So it was a great sort of example of femininity and trans identities. I love that, and of course her relationship with her father, a slightly traditional Mexican man that was beautifully handled. I thought it was so tender, so it was so sensitive, and so much love.
I think one of the complaints perhaps from people in previous seasons has been that there has been a pressure to, I know that in one instance there was kind of like a pressure to come out, and there's been some pressure to potentially make life choices and navigate things in a way that potentially the participant wasn't necessarily ready for. But I didn't feel that this season. I feel like they really treaded quite carefully, and they made sure that, in this instance specifically with Angel, they made sure that it was fine with her before they went forward with that, and they really sort of double checked that, which I think was super important.
Yeah, it's really good to see how society has changed and how it reflects in our art and our TV programs. You notice how they keep asking, "Is it okay for me to touch your hair?"
Yes.
Yeah,
is it okay for me to remove your hat?
Yes.
Like, it's not something that we ever used to see on TV, but it's a new thing, that probably came out from, Me Too in 2016. Probably can trace it back to where we've suddenly understood that, actually, you might have to ask people if you're going to touch their hair. So I think there's this maturity that is reflected in how they're producing the show, which I think is a really great reflection of where we are and how we've progressed.
Absolutely. We're chatting to Suzy Wrong about the latest season of Queer Eye, season 6, which is available on Netflix. Suzy, what are your thoughts on the Fab Five?
I like them.
Not all of them, right?
No, I think they bring a really good balance. I think it's really easy to pick on the pretty ones, but I think there is a light and shade in the group. It's easy to say that some are doing a lot more work than the others, but I think as a group it works really well. There is a lot of light and shade, a lot of someone that you can rely on to bring on the jokes, and someone who you can rely on to bring the frivolity. I do feel like they need another African American man. I think those discussions are important. Racial discussions are important, and having Karamo take it all on his own is very hard. He goes through the series wearing one political shirt after another, which is a really good thing to see. But it almost feels like, that's the only place he can contain these discussions. I
agree with you, Suzy. I found I was putting on my little prejudice filter as well when I was looking at the pretty ones, going, they're just going to come out with some superficial thing. But I was quite enlightened with what they did come out, and I really enjoyed it. Something that I did like, and normally I wouldn't because I think it's a bit of popular psychology, is, the inspirational quotes that pop up on the screen, and some of them were a little bit thin, but I thought this is kind of really nice because it just gives you a little reminder of, hey, here's a little hint that you can apply in your day-to-day life. I thought that was quite good.
Yeah, I think they bring enough depth to something that theoretically is quite light entertainment, but within it, I think you always find some quite deep resonances in that, and it's. One big lesson it's provided me, and you have been talking about resolutions and what kind of energy you're going to bring into the new year, and I really appreciated sort of all the unmasking of emotion that they've been able to do in the show, like getting people to feel their emotion. And I think as a person myself from an Asian background in Singapore, I have a lot of stoicism in me, and watching them sort of feel their emotion is very. I can see how important it is, and I'm going to bring to the new year a lot of messy, chaotic energy.
I love it. I love it, Suzy. Do you think that perhaps one of, and Em as well, one of the things out of COVID that we could be more comfortable in expressing our emotions and crying when we feel like it?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of slowing down of things, isn't it?
There is attention.
Yeah, pay attention. And it is such a hard time. And like I said earlier, I do understand that we have to sort of suck it up often and keep calm and carry on. But as we can see in this show, these emotions, they don't go away. Feelings don't go away. And we need to find a way to feel them and understand them before we can actually move on.
And release them.
Absolutely.
Suzy, I loved it. I thought it was really good, really pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I'm surprised you never saw the previous ones.
Yeah, I am too. They are all really great. I was just going to add, I think that the really cool thing about this season and also Queer Eye, the new iteration generally, is even though they've got their brand of, you know, the category, you know, Jonathan is like hair and makeup, and then you've got fashion, and there's only one that's like culture and like emotions or whatever, but each one of them in their time with the participant ends up you know, having these really important discussions, like
Connected
for example
discussions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, there was a few conversations where Jonathan was like cutting their hair and was really able to impart their own wisdom onto the participant, and it was a really beautiful moment, and I love that they all get that moment.
I do too.
Yeah, Jonathan was able to bring, you know, hair and skin, bring it to discussions about politics and activism.
Yes, exactly.
And Anthony, in his cooking, he talks about tradition and heritage, and that's so beautifully done. And you know, when you compare it to the original series on Bravo, you know, like 15, 20 years ago, you know, it's how far this show format has developed, and I really love it.
I love the way Jonathan dresses. The fluidity there is just brilliant.
Yeah, Jonathan is quite a character, you know, and I hope that we see more non-binary people on our screens like that. It's so freeing, don't you think? It's freeing for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it looks great.
Yeah, really did. And very expensive.
I couldn't tell how expensive it was, but I can understand.
Suzy, what's our homework for next week now that we're back into our routine?
Next week, it's called With Love. It is a new 5-episode romantic comedy series on Amazon Prime Video about a tight-knit Mexican-American family that includes a gay son and a trans cousin.
Fantastic.
So
We look forward to watching that.
With Love on Amazon Prime.
That's right.
Fantastic.
Thanks for joining us, Suzy.
Thank you, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
See you then.